This is your math gal, Julie Harland. Please visit my website at yourmathgal.com, where all of my videos are organized by topic. This is example 16 of solving an equation that has a fraction in it. This is a more basic one still. So here's the problem. Negative 5x over 2 equals 10. Again, there's more than one way to solve this. One way is to eliminate the fractions by multiplying both sides by the least common denominator. There's only one denominator, 2, because remember 10 is a whole number, so you could think of that as 10 over 1, which means the least common denominator is simply 2. So if I multiply both sides by 2, this is a way of eliminating the fractions. So let's see, that would give me negative 5x equals 20. And now I have an equation without fractions, so let's divide by the coefficient of x, which is negative 5. And we get our answer of negative 4. Make sure, of course, you divide by negative 5, not positive 5. All right, so how about if we would do it a little bit differently? Another approach is to think of this negative 5 over 2 as the coefficient of x, which it could be written that way, as negative 5 halves x equals 10. You don't have to write it that way, but you could think of it that way without writing it, and then multiply both sides by the reciprocal of that coefficient. Remember, since the coefficient's negative, you want to put a negative sign for the reciprocal, so negative 2/5. And let's multiply this side by negative 2/5. You could put this in parentheses or not. Same thing over here, I could just put a times sign. I'm going to write it over 1 so it's easier to cancel. So on the left-hand side, we see everything cancels, and I'm going to get x equals. On the left side, we've got a positive times a negative, so our answer is going to be negative. And let's see what cancels. The 5 goes into the 10 twice, so then I could do the 2 times 2, which is 4. Now it's really 2 times negative 2. That's why there's that minus sign here. So you know the final answer is going to be negative 4. Same as if we did it the other way. So that's just a couple ways of doing it. Now you might not need to rewrite this coefficient out. You could say, well, to get rid of the negative 5 in the numerator and the 5 in the denominator, right, I could multiply by a 2 in the numerator and a negative 5 in the denominator to get those to cancel and just have an x on this side, and then write this as 2 over negative 5. So you might have done it this way, right, without rewriting it as negative 5 halves times x. And then those cancel still. And I'm still multiplying a positive times a negative because there's one negative sign, so the answer is still going to be negative. But I can cancel the 5 into the 10 and get 2 still. So notice, you have to be careful when you do it this way. It's like a 4 over a negative 1, right? So it's still going to be negative 4. So that's just a few options for solving that one. If you know about proportions, you could do it that way as well. So let's see, the original problem, negative 5x over 2 equals 10. You could write as negative 5x over 2 equals 10 over 1. Now, if you've learned about proportions, you know that if you have one fraction equaling another fraction, then it has to be in this form with an equal sign. Then when you multiply those two numbers together, you get the same thing as when you multiply those two numbers together. And the reason for that is because that's what happens when you multiply by the denominator. The least common denominator in this case would be 2. You would get the same thing. So that's covered in my videos on proportions. So what would that give us here? Negative 5x times 1 is a negative 5x equals, and a 2 times 10 is 20. You end up with exactly the same problem as when we did it the first way, just multiplying both sides by 2. So we're still going to get x equals -4. So lots of options to get our answer of x equals -4. So our next step will be to check and make sure that's indeed the right answer. All right, so we're going to check to make -4 is the correct solution. So we've got our original problem, -5 times -4 over 2, right? We're replacing x with a -4 in the order of operations. Let's multiply the top. That's one way of doing it. 20 divided by 2. 20 over 2 means 10. And on the right-hand side, I have a 10, so that checks out. So x equals -4 is the correct solution, and using a solution set notation, we write the -4 in the braces. This is your Math Gal, Julie Harland. Please visit my website at yourmathgal.com, where all of my videos are organized by topic.